Hi guys, I know I can't see you, but I am going to be doing a technique sheet for your oil pastel project. If you guys are home students, you're going to be able to watch this and know how to do the techniques. You're going to complete this page, and then you are going to be drawing one of our wooden mannequins in the classroom using 3 values of oil pastel. So I'll show you what I mean by that as soon as we get done with the technique sheet, and you will be on your way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go from white to color using oil pastels and making a blend. And what we're going to do is I think I'm going to use blue. And there's a technique that we use in oil pastel application called scumbling. And scumbling is a collection of circles, and it's also a collection of figure eights. So we're going to do a combination of figure eights and little circles and fill in the area going darker from this edge into the middle, and then I'll show you what we do with the white after that, okay? So I'm just gonna basically make these kind of crazy lines that are like a mixture of circles and number 8s, and you'll be able to see what I mean by that. I'm just kind of moving my oil pastel around in kind of a kooky motion, and that is filling in this space, and it's also giving us a nice transition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the middle with just one layer of the scumbled technique, and then I'm going to backtrack and go all the way back to the beginning, and I'm just kind of still doing those circles and those number 8s, and I want to start getting more pressure back here and more number 8s and more circles on top, because this is where I want it to be sort of solidified, because the transition is going to fade as it goes toward the white. And then as I get over here, I just want to kind of lighten the pressure with my hand, and that's just going to kind of have it fade off just like that, okay? Then it says white on this side, so color on that side, white on this side. So I'm going to take my white pastel, and it's pretty dirty, but with pastels, what's really cool is that you can like take a tissue and wipe it off. I don't have a tissue right here, but yeah, you can see that you just wipe off the goobers, and you can go from there. So I'm going to start on this side, and I'm just going to continue to do the figure 8s and the small circles, using more pressure towards the edge over here. And it looks like I probably should have washed it a little more, because there is some kind of funky gray or whatever color coming off. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cross over top of the blue, the lighter part of the blue where I like lighten the pressure on my hand. I'm going to go over that part, and I'm just going to slowly fade away, like as I get to about here-ish, and you're going to start to see this sort of transition. So can you see a blend right there where the centerpiece happened, where the white and the blue sort of meet up and create this sort of like lighter value? Okay, so that's one of the things that I mean by lighter value. When you're going to do your little clay or the picture that you're going to take of your little wooden mannequin, you're going to do it in a dark value, a medium value, and a light value. That would be considered, something like that would be considered your light value. So that's going to be what you have for your highlights. So next one we're going to do is a color mixed with gray. I've got a gray pastel, and I'm going to go with another color. And like I said again, we're still just going to do circles and figure 8s, scumbling from that edge all the way to the center, just like in a uniform way, all the way to that center line. Just kind of filling it in, trying to go kind of quick so that you guys don't get bored out of your minds watching me scumble with oil pastels. And right at about the middle, I ease the pressure off of my hand, and then I just like almost barely let the oil pastel touch the surface. And then I'm going to backtrack all the way back again, scumbling and filling in the area. And some people don't like to see the little white lines and stuff, and if that's the case, you can take a tissue and rub it, or you can also take the blending stumps. They work really good. Some people like to use their finger. You just kind of smear it together. I'll try to have some Q-tips in the classroom for you. This is gray. It's not super gray. It's not like the darkest gray, but we're gonna do it anyway. And we're gonna show you what like a medium value transition looks like. Still scumbling, figure eights and circles. Ooh, they break really easy. So just kind of, if they break, just use the nubby. They work just as good. They're just a little weird to hold. Try to get this into the center. Get us a nice transition into the middle land over here. Okay, that right there in the middle, that would also be considered a middle value. Then we're going to do the next, which is a dark value, color going into black. Ooh, this one's kind of like an older pastel. It's kind of hard. I can feel the difference. It's not as easy to blend or move. It almost just feels like a regular crayon. It's so old. Gosh, I may not be able to use this one. Sorry. I'll still try it. Why not? But it doesn't even feel oily. It feels like a regular crayon. Because these are old oil pastels. Old. And like I said, when you get to the middle, just sort of ease off the pressure. And then backtrack in and fill in that value. The color value is the lightness or the darkness of a color. So if you're not familiar with the term value, that's something that we're going to use a lot during this semester. You'll hear me say the word value a lot. Okay, then we're going to go with black. Scumbling again, using that circular and in a figure eight pattern. So yeah, that pastel, that red one, that's a goner. I can't even this one's really smooth and buttery. As it moves across the paper, that one was really stiff and dry and hard to use. So as we get further across the paper, we will start to see, hopefully we'll see these colors blend together, but because the red was so dry, who knows, maybe I'll have to get a different red out. Okay, so yeah, see, I've mixed them together, but it's not really giving me the look that I want, but I guess I can try it here. Because this is just not a very good pastel. But you can see how when they cross paths right here, you get that medium value. So this would be considered a light value, medium value, dark value. And when you're creating your little mannequin, you're gonna notice when you take a picture of it, you turn it to black and white. I'm gonna have you guys turn them into black and white on your phone so that you can see it better. You're gonna see where there's the shadow side, the regular color side, and then the highlight. And that would be the three areas of dark, medium, and light. I'm not gonna actually do this final square down here because it's just the color in the middle going to black and going to white, which is basically the same as what we're going with here. This is gonna be a heavy pressure blend, a light pressure blend, scumbling, stippling, sgraffito, and a paper towel blend. I'm gonna show you all those techniques because all of those could technically be used in your art project. And I'm gonna use a different color because that red is awful. And I'm just gonna transition this. This time I'm just doing the circular version of scumbling, and I'm not really gonna stay in the lines because I just wanna hurry it up so that you guys don't get bored. Okay, so each of you guys will have one of these worksheets. Okay, that's the blend. So I go a little past center, lightening my hand, just like we did over there. And then I grab a different color, and I think I'll do pink because that goes well with purple. And high pressure just means pushing harder with your hand. And then I'm gonna cross over the center line, going a little further into the middle. And that's gonna give me that nice high pressure blend. I think I went a little too far with the purple, but you can still see a good blend happening, and that's what we want. The more you go over the purple with the pink, the better the blend is. Okay, good. So there we go. We got a nice blend going on. Okay, high pressure blend. Now let's do a light pressure blend. The light pressure blend we're gonna do with this color. It's like a Prussian blue. It's a nice color, one of my favorites. And I'm just gonna go super light. So I'm still scumbling. It just seems to be one of the better ways to apply this type of pastel. You don't have to do it this way, but it's easier. Okay, that's light pressure. Now we're gonna mix some yellow into that because yellow and blue make what? That's right, green. Okay, and then we're gonna do some light pressure scumbling again. And as the two colors cross in the middle, we're gonna get that secondary color. So we're just doing some really super light, super duper light blending. I'm not even pushing, hardly pushing at all. Okay, and now you can see where the two colors have blended together, and voila, light pressure blend. Okay, I mean technically you could probably go a little more, and it looks like it's kind of goobering over onto this side a little bit because I kind of got a little messy with it, but you get with it, you get the drift. Light pressure, heavy pressure. Okay, stippling. This is one of the fun activities that you can do in oil pastel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the artist Seurat. He used to do things like this where he would basically dot the entire painting with dots of color, but he did it with an actual paintbrush and paint. And he would go through and dot the whole thing. And then he would do something called visual color mixing, where we're not gonna actually do it right now because purple is already mixed, but we could mix blue with it and maybe get blue violet. And then he would mix another color with it that mixes well. So like, for example, if I had taken blue and mixed yellow with it, if you went far enough away and sort of blurred out your eyes or your vision, you would start to see green in that area. So he would do visual color mixing, which basically means instead of mixing it on a palette and then painting with it, he would make daubs of color next to each other, and then those would visually mix, and that's why it was called visually mixing. So still mixing color, but just like in a different way. Kind of cool. Anyway, you could do this kind of technique for drawing. This is called stipple, small dots. And if you do look at that, it does look like a blue-violet, which is basically the purple and blue mixed together. So we're a little bit visually mixing. The scumbling, obviously you guys have done this already, but we can still give it a go. It's just a combination of number 8s and loose circles and spirals. Some people use this as a technique in their art. Instead of like actually trying to get a blend out of it, they'll just come in and they'll just do loose scumbling as the technique itself in the artwork. Basquiat did things like this where he liked to scribble and do different kinds of interesting things like that in his art. But I'm just layering on top of this with another scumble. And as you mix those two together, it just makes like a nice blend. Sgraffito. Okay, sgraffito is something that you'll see done in ceramics or in painting. It basically means to scratch. So what we're gonna do is in painting, you would put 2 colors down. So for example, I might put something like yellow down if I was painting it. And then in painting, you would let it dry, the yellow dry underneath, and then you would add something like another color on top of it that has a good contrast, and then you would scratch into the surface. With this, it's not going to work as well because when I layer the blue on top, it actually just blends together with the yellow and makes it kind of green instead of putting the blue directly on top of the yellow. And then you would use a sharp instrument of some kind. I'm gonna just take this pencil that doesn't have the lead clicked out, and I am just gonna draw a swirl or something like that. And you can see kind of how the color that I did first would show up underneath. So this could be used for lots of different techniques. It could be used for hair. Like if you had like some hair and you wanted the highlights to get pulled out, you could go through and just pull out the hair highlights. It could be used for anything like that, like highlights of any kind. It could be used for tree bark, like if you wanted to see like the texture of the tree, You know how like the tree has the texture like that, or like a wooden fence. If you did it in like a light gray or brown and then did a brownish gray on top of it that was darker, you could put in the fence post lines with the sgraffito technique. There's several things. Also reeds by like a pond. You could come up and just do like lines like this to make the reeds by the pond. And then right here we have a paper towel blend. And paper towel blend is just going to basically be, you just kind of scumble the little circles, lighten the pressure as you get about midway through, and about midway through, lighten that pressure, go with another blue, cross over it just a bit so that it starts to create that transition. And then we have to look for a tissue because this is a tissue blend. Just one sec. Here's a tissue. And what you want to do is you want to kind of wad it so that it has like a hardened edge like this. And then you want to blend them together. And I'm going to do it in a combination of a circular motion and just kind of crossing it over. I don't want to wipe off too much of the color, but I do want to get it nice and blended together. And it looks like I am taking away a little too much blue, but you can see that you are doing a blend. This could work for a sky, this could work for clouds, this could work for basically anything soft. Another thing that you can use, like I mentioned before, is the blenders that we use for pencils in shading. Those work really nicely because they are just like compressed paper wadded together. And then like I said earlier, you can also just use your finger. You can use baby oil and a Q-tip. The only thing with baby oil is that it stains and wrecks your paper. So you need to be kind of conscious of what you're going to be blending it on. I'm going to grab one of the blending sticks real quick just to show you that. The only thing with this is I'm going to recommend if you use it that you actually sand it off, and we have sandpaper in the blender drawer. But you can come in little circular motions like this, blending it together, trying not to remove as much. And I almost feel like this is a better way to go than the tissue, because the tissue does wipe off quite a bit. And with this, you can regulate the amount of pressure you're putting on it and kind of get a more directed sense of where it's going to be blending. And there you go. And you're going to put your name on it. We're just going to pretend my name is Mrs. Kennedy, which it is, but I have a first name too. And then you're going to put your class period on it, and this is going to get photographed and uploaded into Skyward, or excuse me, photographed and uploaded as an upload on Canvas. And then the next step I will show you, which is going to be photographing your wooden mannequin and deciding what colors you want to use for those values. So what I want you to do is I am trying to find, like my phone is supposed to be in this picture. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so if I was using my phone, like what you guys are going to be doing, I would take a picture of this mannequin dude, and I would try to crop it so that it's like, I don't know, let's see, so that maybe like his hand is a little cut off, or zoom in a little closer on an angle like that. That'd probably be good right there. Or you could even zoom in closer, but I want to see a chunk of the mannequin, but I don't want to see the whole mannequin. Does that make sense? So I've got this picture right here on my phone, and yeah, it's like the whole mannequin, but not really, kind of deal. But I want to edit that, so I'm just gonna like quickly figure out how to edit that. If I can drop my hand down. A good idea is to have it crop off or like leave the actual picture plane on the top. If it leaves the picture plane on the bottom, you want to make sure that it at least leaves the picture plane on the top, because you don't want to have one thing really, really close to the top, because it gives you this feeling of tension, like what's really going on here, you know? And you could crop it in even more if you wanted, just a little bit, just so that it gives you more room to draw. Okay, there we've got our little guy, okay? That's how I want you guys to do it. I want you to crop in. I don't want you to do the whole figure, it makes it more interesting of a composition, and then less of the artwork looks the same. Because if I just have you guys all do a mannequin, I get almost always the same mannequins. Then I want you to go all the way over to black and white, okay? You could choose silver tone, mono, probably not dramatic, cool. Do mono, I'm trying to squint my eyes and see which one's showing me value the best. I would go to silver tone, do that one, and then save it, okay? So once you've got your little mannequin dude and he's like saved, you're gonna draw him onto a piece of gray paper and pencil, just the outline. And then you're gonna look at these areas, like right here, where I've got this little pocket of like dark gray, then I've got a medium value, and then just a tinge of a highlight on that side, or a highlight up here at the top. So you're gonna go through and you're gonna make that using your oil pastel blends that we just talked about. So next step is gonna be to draw it onto gray paper. So I'll get the gray paper and we'll go from there. Okay guys, I'm back here. I've got my little picture here on the side of my mannequin guy, and I've got my gray piece of paper, and I'm gonna transfer this image over onto this piece of paper by upsizing. And a lot of you guys have you probably know what upsizing is. If you don't know what upsizing is, there might be a few different options of things that you can do to help you. For example, you could put a grid on it. Sometimes a grid will help people that don't know how to do it just yet see exactly how they're supposed to, where they're supposed to place things on their paper. I personally prefer to do it without a grid. I'm looking for a grid app, but I don't see one on my phone. If you're familiar with a grid app, you could maybe share that with people, or you could use it yourself. Just one second, I have one on here somewhere, but I might have deleted it because I don't use it very often. I have a little thing called Art Apps. Yeah, there it is. Is that a grid? It looks like a grid, right? Grid. Let's see what happens. If you guys are able to get one on your phone, looks like this one is called Grid It or something to that effect. Thanks for bearing with me while I do this. Grid It. Okay, we're gonna open it. It's a grid and then a hashtag. Whatever. And then remember, you don't have to do this. This is just in case for certain people that may need it for reference points. Okay, so look, now it has a grid on it. Can you guys see that? If I come up close? Okay, so that's a grid hashtag. That's the name of the app, and it was free. And then from there, I can decide, okay, yeah. And remember to draw super light on this piece of paper, okay? Because anything you draw on here is gonna show up. So I've identified the top. This is about the middle. And that's about probably the middle grid. If I was gonna use the grid method. I'm showing you guys how to use the grid method, by the way. If this is too hard to draw in pencil, which I think it might be, you can use a white Prismacolor. And there might be one in your drawing kit. Just one second, let me grab one. If you guys don't have one, I have some over here in the classroom that you guys can borrow. But if I just make small lines with that, I think you guys can see it better. I'll zoom in just a little bit. Okay, that's like my center cell right here, okay? Can you guys see that? This little center area. Then I'm gonna go, okay, so that's like, I'm gauging that as like the center, right? So then I'm gonna be like, okay, here and here, approximately, that would be those lines. So once you've kind of got a few lines really lightly blocked in so that you can still erase them, then you can kind of block in these things. It makes it easier if you draw things in forms. So for example, I say, okay, the center of this dude's neck is about right here, okay? And it kind of comes out to about here and to about here. Comes down to about like here and like here, okay? And if you were, you could like imagine that there would be a sphere in here. Imagine that there could be some different forms in here. This is clearly like a circle where his neck is. And then you can draw a center line up to about where his head is. Okay, and I don't want perfection, you guys. I don't want these to look perfect. I just want you to like show me that you're using the steps in the process to make it happen, okay? So there's that. And then we're gonna come into his waist, and his waist is like this weird little thing. It goes about halfway through that square right there. Okay, so we've got this going on. And then right here we've got like a circle. And this would be like a cylinder, probably. And then obviously this one's like underneath something. Okay, then we come back up here to his arm, and we're like, okay, that's clearly a circle right there. That's a sphere. And then this part of his arm crosses over that line right there in the middle. Okay, and this part of his arm crosses about right here. Okay, so we've created that cylinder shape right here that you guys just learned about in your forms assignment. And then his elbow, oh, his elbow's a circle, right? Then we cross over the line again. And then if we look really closely, we can see that this ends on an angle at about right here. Probably right there actually. So we come up here and we go, all right, this is a cylinder. And then we've got a circle here. And then we've got this like weird hand that crosses over that line. And it's kind of a form as well. It's almost like an oval right here with like this little wedge on top, right? It's not perfect, but we're just blocking in the shapes, right? Then over here we have like another circle. And then we have a cylinder that comes out to about right here that's foreshortened a little bit. So it gives us this idea that it looks shorter in the drawing than it is in real life. This circle crosses the line. That goes there. And then this arm or cylinder, just think of it as a cylinder or a shape and you'll have a better chance in drawing it accurately. Comes right over that little point in his hip. And then it looks like I've got it angled back like this in some weirdo way. And then I'm just gonna give it a skiff of a flattened oval right there, just so that it looks like you can kind of see it. And then right here, that would just be the angle that came down of his leg, okay? And that one's probably a little off, but we'll survive, okay? Okay, so now we've got our blocked in figure, and you know what? You caught me. I didn't have his hand going off the page. This should have gone clear up here. So when I put these lines in, I didn't do it accurately. I'm not gonna knock you down points for something like that. But now you're gonna stare at it, and since you have it in black and white, you can see, oh, look, this is dark down here. Medium, light. So I'll just do one section so you can see what I mean, and then the rest of it you guys can just figure out, okay? I'm gonna use blue because blue is a good dark value, and I can see right in here on that little area, this little guy has some darks. So I'm just gonna kind of come in and just sort of put in those darks, as dark as I can. And remember, you can add black to it after to make like a better blend. Okay, and we've got his waistline, which is also darker right through there. Darker, fading over. And then one thing we learned when we were doing the blends is that you can do it in small circles. And then when you get about halfway, that's when you're gonna kind of cross it over. So I'm gonna give just like a super light blend of blue, just like that, okay? Now I wanna create a medium value through here. So by creating the medium value, I will take my other color that I wanna contrast it with, which is a lighter blue. And instead of pushing hard, I'm gonna push very lightly. And I'm gonna get that middle value from the combination of the dark blue and the light blue together. So I'm putting it over top of the blue here. And then I'm gonna come back through, and I'm just gonna put a little bit more on top just to kind of top it off and make sure that I didn't lose any of those darker values. A good way to check value as you're doing a project like this would be to squint your eyes. If you squint your eyes when you're doing something like this, you can automatically only see the value in the drawing. So squint your eyes at this and you'll see, oh, here's dark, here's light. Where did I accidentally put too much dark or too much light? And if as soon as both of those things look the same when your eyes are squinted, then you've achieved the right value. This right here, this is mostly a middle value, and then it has a light on top of it. So what I'm going to do is go through, and I'm just going to put in that middle value on up. And I'm doing a light value blend, and you can see that if you look at your paper of techniques. There's high pressure and light pressure blends. I did the light pressure blend, going in a circular motion using kind of a loose scumbling. And there you go, you've got your center section. Now I'm going to take that white, and I can squint my eyes at this picture. I can see that there's a white highlight up there at the top and a little bit of white down around here. And then you want to make sure that in each area of the form that you've created a transition from either a dark to a medium, or a medium to a light, or a medium to a dark, something like that. Otherwise, you won't show form. The only way to show form is to have at least 2 to 3 different values per form. So this is a medium and a light. Okay, and a little bit here. Underneath this video, or above this video, I'm not sure yet, in the assignment queue, I'm going to show you guys some examples from previous years when students did this project. But basically, I want all of the surface covered, okay? So don't leave like a bunch of the gray paper showing. Blend it in. You can use your pinky, you can use a tissue, you can come up to the front of the room and you can get, woo, that was dirty. See what I mean by getting it cleaned off. Going in the circles. You can come up and grab one of these as long as you promise to clean it when you're done with a piece of sandpaper. And, okay. And I mean, I could keep working this and make it awesome. Right now I'm just kind of doing a quick demo for you guys. But I'm going in a circular motion with the shader blender. Trying to get just a nice solid glow. And if I squint my eyes, I can see that when I come up here to this top part, that's going to be a dark line. And I can almost see just a real teensy bit of like shadow, reflected shadow light coming up like that. And I could just do a little teensy bit. Ooh, I didn't want it to have green in it, but that's what we get when we don't clean it, right? Okay? Okay, so there you go. I mean, obviously that's not perfect. Whew, far from it. But you get the idea. And I want you guys to start doing this. And I don't care if all of the body's blue, or if all the body's red, or if you get bored and you want to switch up your colors, go for it. As long as each section of form has the value. So it just needs to show that transition. And when you squint your eyes and look here, and squint your eyes and look there, you should see a pretty clear similarity of, oh, you know, that plane angles this way, or this plane angles that way. So anyway, there you go. And I will get those posted for you so that you guys can see and understand what you're going to be doing. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.